Always fortunate to come back to my home state of Connecticut. But tonight is very special for me because I get to share September 11th with each of you. On September 11th, I was working for a company called General Dynamics. You may have heard of them. They build pretty large subs down the road in Groton, Connecticut. But I was working for a different division of them based in Boston, Massachusetts. I was down in the Pentagon just on a temporary assignment, looking to help get our company back in order on our schedule. It was a beautiful day, not as hot as today was, but it was a beautiful day on September 11th, and I got delayed that morning. I got delayed by a conference call, and then I got delayed by a call to my dad, letting him know what was going on in New York. As I talked to my dad, I tried to reassure him, as I was trying to reassure myself, "Don't worry, Dad, I'm in the Pentagon. It's a fortress. I made it through the Cold War." I didn't realize that was nearly the last time I was going to talk to my dad. After I hung up with him, I caught up with my colleague Bobby Shelby. Bobby and I were close friends, but we worked together inside the Pentagon, and it was an honor to do work there. But I was a civilian. I didn't know what war was. I had no idea what was about to become the changing of the history of our country and how I was going to be a part of it. And so, as Bobby and I left the top 5th floor down to the 1st floor, we were heading in the Naval Command Center. We paused, which delayed us. Bobby said, "Can I take a smoke break?" I said, "Go ahead. I'm going to read my cell phone and read about New York," because being from Connecticut, I knew the trade centers. And so as I was reading to Bobby what had happened, I paused for a moment and said, "Geez, Bobby, what's next? The Pentagon?" 3, 2, 1, boom. The blast went off. It picked Bobby and I up and threw us a good distance, and the building came down on top of us. I thought I died. When I came to, I looked over and I saw Bobby, and we were both pretty well messed up, but we were able to get up, and we stood up, and we went to a pillar nearby because we figured that would hold the building up. Once I got out from there, the pillar, the fireball was coming at us to the right, so we went to the center courtyard, and from there people started screaming, "You've been hit, you've been hit." I didn't know what that meant, but I looked down, and I saw I was covered in blood, and I knew I was in trouble. So I sat down and I started grabbing people's cell phones off their waist, just so I could call home and tell my folks I was alive back here in Connecticut. All the cell phones didn't work. All the calls coming in and out were jammed because so many calls are trying to come in and out at one time. I couldn't let my family know I was alive. Finally, when I got to the hospital, I was brought to the hospital by this woman named Erin Anderson. And I share her name everywhere I go because I believe there's an Erin Anderson in each one of us. Erin Anderson was at home, and she felt she had to do something to help out her fellow countrymen. And so she left her home not knowing what was going to happen, and she saw Bobby and I on the side of the street bleeding. She said, "Get in, I'll take you to the hospital." She took us to the hospital, and she stayed with us that day. And I mention that story is because each one of you has an Erin Anderson within you. Each one of you in the town of Wallingford here tonight have that in you. Just by being here tonight and honoring this day, you remember what's most important, is that in America, we may get knocked down, but we get back up. We may take some pretty bad hits from people that have negativity and hatred in their heart, but goodness always wins. Always, always wins. And no matter what the challenge is, no matter what we're faced, and we've seen it since 9/11, from the Boston Marathon to not far here in Newtown, Connecticut, we see what hatred causes, but we see the greatness in America right following that. And that is what makes America so great. That's why it's so wonderful for me to be back here in Wallingford, Connecticut, to share with you this moment, this special moment, remembering 185